On the training grounds, a furious Saiyan points a wooden sword at Eugene Lionheart and demands a duel. Eugene tries to brush it off, but after Saiyan insults his parents, Eugene drops his heavy sandbag training weights, shattering the dirt, rips off his tunic, and accepts the challenge. Before Saiyan can even react, Eugene lunges forward and drives his spear into Saiyan's stomach, leaving him vomiting on the ground. Saiyan's mother, Lady Anasilla, is furious that her son lost to a child without mana, striking Saiyan with her fan and ordering Sir Hezar to train him ruthlessly. But to protect her status, she commands her daughter Seal to befriend Eugene instead. The next day, Patriarch Gillard Lionheart returns home alongside two new branch prodigies, Gargiz and Desira. At a grand dinner, a mysterious blonde guest introduces herself as Raubirian, master of the Red Magic Tower. Eugene violently spits his tea across the table in shock, realizing she carries the legacy of his ancient companion, Senya the Wise. The Patriarch cold shoulders Saiyan for his behavior, forcing him to issue a humiliated apology to Eugene. Gillard then reveals the blood succession ritual, a trial taking place inside a holographic illusion maze created by Raubirian, where participants must defeat the central boss monster. When Eugene asks about the reward, Gillard announces that the victor can pick any single item from the main family's secret underground treasury. Thrilled by the news, Eugene walks down the hallway that night, already planning which treasure to take, only to find Gargiz and Desira waiting at the end of the hall, staring him down with stern, unyielding gazes. Eugene Lionheart shuts down the confrontation with a cold, simple, "yeah." Standing in the middle of the red-carpeted hallway, he waves off Gargiz Lionheart and Desira, making it clear he's taking his leave if they're done asking questions. Eugene walks away without missing a beat, leaving Gargiz standing there completely dumbfounded. Gargiz shrugs with a giant question mark floating over his head, while Desira crosses her arms, looking utterly unimpressed. Later that night, under the glowing full moon, Eugene trains alone in the courtyard with a wooden weapon. He unleashes a flurry of rapid slashes, spinning with speed that carves bright blue energy arcs through the air. Eugene's gaze sharpens as he delivers a powerful horizontal swipe, the sheer force blowing back a massive circular shockwave of dust and wind. Mid-pose, Eugene stops. He senses a presence and glances back to find Gargiz and Desira watching him under the castle arches. The two stand side by side like gatekeepers, Gargiz with his arms crossed, Desira gripping two wooden spears. Eugene breaks into a nervous sweat, wondering why on earth they haven't left yet. Gargiz and Desira march across the courtyard, ready to move. Out of nowhere, Gargiz grabs his collar and violently rips his own shirt to shreds. He stands shirtless, steam rising off his body as he breathes heavily in front of a baffled Eugene. Gargiz lets out a mighty grunt, striking a glorious bodybuilding pose with sparkling stars to highlight his hyper-defined muscles. Eugene just stands there, looking completely dead inside. His brain short-circuits with a simple thought: is he an idiot? Gargiz slaps his chest and offers, "You can touch this," only for Eugene to shoot him down instantly. Gargiz proudly boasts about his family's secret muscle growth potion, a brew that speeds up muscle gain during training without building mana or causing side effects. Striking another pose, Gargiz asks if he's interested, leaving Eugene to wonder if the guy is literally trying to sell him potion. Eugene's true thoughts surface immediately: "No side effects, my ass." Desira steps in to expose the truth, warning Eugene that the stuff will grow a full beard on anyone, regardless of gender. Shifting to serious tone, Desira asks why he's practicing with a wooden sword when she heard he beat Saiyan Lionheart with a spear. Eugene casually admits he uses both, which Desira takes as a smug claim that he's a master of all weapons, all while Gargiz continues to flex and sparkle in the background. Testing his skills, Desira hurls one of her wooden spears straight at him. Eugene catches the weapon out of midair with lightning-fast reflexes, holding his wooden sword in one hand and her spear in the other. Desira smiles fiercely, gripping her remaining spear as she declares her challenge: "I specialize in spears, let's fight with spears." Eugene Lionheart gets ready to face Desira, holding a wooden sword behind his shoulder and a wooden spear in his hand. He figures dealing with her will be much easier than dealing with that weird guy trying to sell him muscle potions. Grinning confidently, Eugene agrees to the spar, eager to see just how strong the elite children of the branch families really are. Under the moonlight, Eugene and Desira stand opposite each other in the wide courtyard, wooden spears at the ready. Suddenly, Gargiz Lionheart steps between them, completely shirtless. A bewildered Eugene asks what he's doing, and Gargiz proudly declares himself the referee. Gargiz flexes his massive body with sparkling stars all around, shouting that even a simple spar must be completely fair. Watching Garga's ridiculous flexing, Eugene gets a sweat drop, wondering if this guy is actually a descendant of Moron, his old companion from 300 years ago who was just as much of an idiot. Gargas tells them to wait for his signal, prompting an annoyed Desira to yell at him to just start already. Desira drops into a low, athletic stance with her spear. She feels completely insulted that Eugene claims to master both swords and spears, calling it a total joke. Her eyes burn with sharp determination, resolving to show him that a weapon as complex as a spear cannot be mastered half-heartedly. Gargas unleashes a fiery shout, screaming "Start!" Desira immediately dashes forward with blistering speed, determined to strike first. But mid-charge, her eyes widen in absolute shock as she senses something terrifying. She digs her boots into the stone ground, screeching to a desperate halt. A massive, intimidating aura of blue and white energy erupts from Eugene, freezing Desira in her tracks. Staring at his glowing eyes in the dark, she realizes with dread that he has zero openings in his defense. Eugene casually rests his spear on the ground, asking what she's waiting for and telling her to bring it on. Gritting her teeth in frustration, Desira lets out a tense growl. With a fierce cry, she lunges forward again, thrusting her spear straight at him. The two wooden spear tips clash violently in midair, creating a bright explosion of white and blue sparks. Desira unleashes a barrage of rapid attacks, but Eugene stands his ground effortlessly, meeting every single strike. Desira swings with everything she's got, her face twisted in pure determination, but Eugene doesn't budge, parrying and blocking her wide sweeps with ease. Desira lets out another frustrated grunt as her attacks continue to fail. A flurry of blue action lines fills the air as she tries to overwhelm him, but every single strike is met by Eugene's fortress-like defense. While blocking her relentless assault, Eugene calmly analyzes her, noting that for someone not using mana, she is exceptionally skilled with infinite room to grow. But a smug grin creeps onto Eugene's face as he makes his final assessment. As good as she is still no match for him right now. He effortlessly deflects her spear downward, stands completely relaxed, and asks if she really couldn't land a single hit. An embarrassed Desira screams, "Shut up," glaring at him while sweating and breathing heavily. She is furious that he blocked every attack without even needing to step back, swearing that his sheer arrogance is going to cost him. Desira kicks off her counterattack with a fierce, straight-line thrust of her wooden spear, tearing through the air. In a dynamic split-panel action shot, Desira and Eugene Lionheart clash, their weapons colliding in a blinding flurry of rapid strikes and sparks. Eugene easily reads her movement, casually deflecting her spear tip away with a clean, effortless parry. Desira slides low to sweep around his flank, but Eugene spins instantly to match her speed, keeping his defense airtight. A confident, sharp grin spreads across Desira's face. She believes he won't be able to block her next move from this angle. Leaping high into the air, she brings her spear down in a massive overhead strike while Eugene stands calmly beneath her, waiting. Her spear tip plunges toward the ground near his feet, but in a mind-blowing display of reflexes, Eugene stomps his boot down, pinning her spear shaft firmly to the stone floor before it can even land. With her weapon completely trapped, Desira is left wide open as Eugene thrusts his own wooden spear straight at her throat. Desira gasps in utter shock as her attack is completely shut down. The blunt tip of Eugene's spear stops just inches from her neck as sweat drops from her face in fear. In the quiet courtyard, Gargas Lionheart stands shirtless in the background, watching them freeze in position before declaring, "Eugene Lionheart has won." Later that night, a fully clothed Gargas, now in a formal white ruffled shirt, folds his arms with dramatic intensity and boldly states, "We must work together." It turns out he has literally barged into Eugene's private bedroom. Eugene sits up in bed, rubbing his silver hair in sheer disbelief. With a giant red anger vein popping on his head, an annoyed Eugene asks, "You woke a sleeping person just to say that?" Gargas remains completely unfazed, keeping his arms crossed as he demands a response. Eugene points out the obvious flaw in his logic. The family had already explained that everyone enters the blood succession ritual through different entrances, so working together is impossible. Eugene asks if he's proposing they team up to defeat the final boss monster in the center of the maze, and Gargas calmly confirms, "That's right." Eugene looks down at his hand, sighing at how annoying this is since he can easily clear the trial alone. A pan across the room reveals Desira leaning quietly against the wall with her arms folded. Swallowing her pride, Desira admits that while he's full of himself, he's strong, and with his help, they could defeat the boss without a doubt. Eugene asks why they are so desperate to beat the boss. Desra's expression turns dead serious as she explains the harsh truth. In the history of the blood succession ritual, a collateral branch member has never once won against the direct line. But this year is different because they have her, Gargis, and Eugene, the guy who already humiliated the main family's son, Cyan. Desra leans in with Gargis standing right behind her, delivering the ultimate pitch. "Don't you want to win against the main family?" Eugene stares back in silence with sharp yellow eyes, processing their offer. Far from the bedroom, on a quiet balcony, a wealthy noblewoman in a lavish dark blue gown, Eugene Lionheart, stands holding an elegant folding fan, staring out at the glowing full moon through a massive arched window. Eugene Lionheart looks out her window at the bright full moon, holding her delicate folding fan. She notices the master of the red magic tower of Eroth, Roberian, standing outside and suspects she is here for a very specific reason: to take in her youngest son, Iode Lionheart, as a student. Ever since Iode was he was a bookworm who preferred reading over physical training. Driven by his natural passion for magic, he spent his childhood mastering all kinds of spells. But Eugene knows this opportunity is a double-edged sword. If Iode becomes Roberian's disciple, he must leave home, allowing his siblings Cyan Lionheart and Seal Lionheart to grow stronger at home, while essentially disqualifying himself from becoming the heir. Eugene's sharp purple eyes narrow. For her, the real problem is the impending blood succession ritual. As a concubine, her children will forever bear that label, and she had to work relentlessly to establish their standing. Her grip tightens violently on her fan until it cracks under a surge of dark purple energy. She is furious that her son Cyan lost his duel to a child from a mere branch family. Yet standing alone, Eugene arrives at a surprising conclusion. Instead of wishing for Eugene's failure, she actually hopes Eugene Lionheart clears the labyrinth trial the fastest. If Eugene is powerful enough to humiliate the entire main family, it will make Cyan's prior defeat look like an unavoidable fluke rather than a personal embarrassment. 4 days later, the day has finally arrived. The children gather in a forest clearing before a massive stone cave entrance glowing with swirling blue magic. Roberian and the Patriarch stand ready as the blood succession ritual officially begins. Roberian steps forward, unleashing a massive burst of blue magical energy from her hands. Glowing blue magical flames manifest directly in the open hands of Seal and Cyan, while Gargis, Eugene, and another branch family child receive their own glowing sparks of blue mana. Pointing a finger with a playful smile, Roberian explains the first step: mold the glowing magical light by focusing on the image of a weapon in their minds. 2 branch children sweat and struggle to shape the unstable mana, while Eugene quietly observes them, perfectly calm. Suddenly, a bright flash of light erupts as Seal successfully summons a beautiful golden rapier. Her yellow eyes glow with excitement as she proudly swings the rapier through the air, leaving graceful arcs of light. She points her weapon at Roberian and asks what happens if it breaks in combat. Roberian laughs, assuring her that both the sword and the labyrinth are made of high-level magic, making her weapon completely indestructible. Seeing her success, Cyan asks if he can create a magical animal instead of a basic sword. Roberian clarifies that while dolls or golems are allowed, creating anything actually alive is forbidden. This piques the interest of Iode, who asks why living creations are banned. Roberian winks, explaining that creating true life is a power reserved only for living beings, making it an absolute taboo of magic. Iode stares at her with sparkling, awestruck eyes. A massive blast of golden energy erupts from Gargis as he channels his inner powerhouse to summon his weapon, a gargantuan, thick-bladed golden broadsword. He boasts that it's a perfect replica of his sword back home, but a deadpan Seal shuts him down cold. Did anyone ask? Up next is Desra, who easily summons a stunning, double-pointed golden spear radiating energy. Cyan follows suit with a confident smirk, successfully manifesting a sleek golden arming sword. He looks down solemnly at his hands as golden particles slowly condense. The other branch family kids struggle to manifest their weapons, sweating and grimacing as they try to mold their unstable golden mana. Meanwhile, Eugene Lionheart effortlessly finishes his summon, manifesting a beautiful golden arming sword in his right hand and a solid, ornate round shield on his left arm. With their weapons successfully summoned, Seal Lionheart turns to Eugene with a curious expression, asking what he would do if they happen to run into each other inside the labyrinth. She leans in and looks him dead in the eye. "Would you fight me?" Eugene turns to Patriarch Gilead Lionheart to clarify the rules, asking if PvP is allowed. The Patriarch casually confirms that since competition is a fundamental part of the blood succession ritual, nothing is stopping them from fighting. However, the patriarch smiles warmly and adds a vital piece of advice. Cooperation and good judgment are just as important, reminding them that they are all family sharing the proud Lionheart name. Seal looks over at Eugene's relaxed posture, quietly repeating the word family in her mind. A split second later, a highly devious, mischievous grin spreads across Seal's face as she hatches a plan. Eugene catches her expression and immediately sweat drops, thinking to himself how creepy her sudden smile is. The master of the Red Magic Tower, Rabirian, steps forward with a bright smile, holding up small glowing blue crystal necklaces and instructing all the kids to put them around their necks. Rabirian hands them out to the gathered children, with Desra holding her golden spear and Gargaz Lionheart carrying his massive broadsword. She explains that these necklaces connect directly to their minds, designed to monitor their mental state and react if they experience extreme distress. Her friendly expression instantly vanishes, turning dead serious as she warns them that if a necklace reacts to a dangerous situation, she will personally step in to rescue them. Eugene examines the glowing jewel against his chest, realizing it's a high-level safety tool designed to prevent fatal accidents. Rabirian then cups her hand and dramatically shouts to demonstrate. If they get too scared, they can simply tap the jewel and yell, "Help me," to safely and immediately escape. With the explanations out of the way, Rabirian gestures toward the massive, swirling blue magical barrier blocking the cave, announcing that it's finally time to enter. She flashes a sly grin and drops one last bombshell. Though they are all walking through the exact same cave entrance, the magic will instantly warp each of them onto completely different paths the moment they step inside. The children walk forward in a solemn double-file line toward the glowing portal, with Eugene and Seal confidently leading the group. Right before stepping through, Seal waves cheerfully with a sparkling "good luck," and Eugene casually replies, "Yeah, you too." Eugene plunges headfirst into the roaring blue magical energy, leaving the outside world behind. His boot lands with a solid tap on the cold, hard stone tiles inside the cavern. He finds himself completely alone in a massive, ancient stone corridor, staring into the pitch-black darkness of the labyrinth. Instead of being intimidated, Eugene flashes a confident smirk. Thinking back to his past life as the hero Hamel, he reminds himself that he has successfully explored countless deadly dungeons with his legendary companions. He looks up at the towering arches, noting that the high ceiling is completely blocked off. He draws his golden sword and takes a fluid stance, spinning the blade to get a feel for its weight while generating sharp blue energy trails in the air. He points his sword forward defensively, noting that the tight, enclosed stone walls of the maze are exactly why he strategically chose a sword and shield setup. This classic, versatile combination is highly reliable in almost any unexpected combat situation. Looking ahead with fierce, glowing yellow eyes and a cocky grin, Eugene concludes that a labyrinth designed specifically for children won't pose any real challenge to him at all. With absolute confidence, Eugene Lionheart strides forward into the deep shadows of the maze, ready to dominate the trial.